What up? What up? Welcome in everybody to another episode of Profit Picks. If you are new, we do always start the show by being transparent. And yesterday ended up being a good day for myself. Um, Starting off with MLB, two winners in that Brewers and Mets game. First five under four, easy. Full game under 7.5. They made us, start to break a tiny sweat towards the end of the game, but we still got the money. So 2-0 yesterday in MLB. I think that's 5-2 in the playoffs so far. And NFL, I took the under and I took the Falcons. So 1-1 there. And then college football, Texas State first half was a winner. Texas State and Troy under 57 was a winner. And UTEP plus 10.5 was a loser. So profitable college football, profitable baseball, lost some juice on NFL. And we'll see if we can continue to go in the right direction today. We have Mr. Veno here to help us out. And I know we talked about it a little bit. I just glanced at the website. I know things have been rocking and rolling for you. So it's been a couple days or a few days since we've talked. So let the people know how everything's been going for you.
Yeah, things are going good, Skee. Last night was a 2-0, and I'm glad that when I was cheering for Pete Alonso's 3-run homer, because I had Mets, it was still keeping you under. I didn't realize you were on under because that Pete Alonso poster went up on my wall as soon as he hit that thing. That was good. Mets plus price last night, 2-1 now in MLB playoffs. I didn't play at all this season, so taking over here in the playoffs, I think we're seeing things pretty clearly. And then last night, I too was involved in the Texas State game. I had their team total over 33.5. They got me to 38 in the third quarter, fairly easy there. So, and again, I got the points I needed, and you got to keep yourself under. So it looks like we're on the right side of a lot of angles of both of those games. And like you say, let's keep it going in the right direction, starting here today.
Yeah, let's keep it going. Talking about a little sweat. Yeah, this was sweaty too, Jamrock Kicks. His under was a slight sweat on that Texas State game. I had to, you guys know, I tell y'all on here how I do. After halftime, I had to move around, man. I left the casino. I had to go find the good energy somewhere. But we were able to sweat it out and get it to the window. So that was great. A couple more comments before we do get started here. Mark A says, shout out to your Discord, Skee. Great group of cappers, all sharing knowledge and good vibes. And that's what it's all about, man. I see every day it's a lot of good cappers in the chat. Why can't we talk when the show is not live, So that's the reason I started it. And I'm happy that everybody likes it. Jeff says he agrees with Mark on the Discord. So glad that it's everybody's enjoying it and it's useful. J Cash, she says no faith. We were talking yesterday too, and I just had to disappear, man. I popped back in the little chat that we have at the end of the game. He said, "Look at Skee, here he come." He was in there sweating the whole time. So shout out to you, Jay. We got the money, and let's do it again today. We got 2 WNBA, Rob. We'll talk a little bit of college football. Then we'll see how much time we have to tackle the NFL. But let's start with that WNBA. First game up in rotation order looks like 639, 640. Minnesota and Connecticut, now in Connecticut, open as a 1.5 point favorite. The Sun did, and they're now 2.5. Total opens 151.5. And I still see a 151.5, but I also see a 150.5. So I see a 150. So it's 1.5 point difference depending where you shop. So make sure you get the best of the number. First game, some were able to sneak it out. I feel like through 2 games, we still haven't seen the best of the Lynx. Like, yes, some of the others stepped up. Yes, the Lynx got back to what they do, which is shoot a lot better from the 3. But a couple of their best players haven't been playing so well. I mean, Fee, she couldn't buy a basket. Courtney Williams was not looking good out there, and they still were able to get a win. So that makes me think that it's still a lot, like the Lynx can be a lot better going forward. I'm unsure how much better the Connecticut Sun can be. They've been really good on the defensive side. I like what they're doing there, making things uncomfortable for Minnesota. And we know Minnesota's a good defensive team too. So I ask you this, Rob. With the series tie 1-1, are you looking more towards the side? Or, I mean, none of these games have touched 150 yet. Can we get another one? under the total.
Yeah, I think the last time we talked, Skee, was the night the WNBA played. I think we were both in agreement that the Lynx were the right side in that game. A couple of things that we mentioned on that day were the reversal, or the expected reversal. We anticipated that 3-point shooting numbers would flip-flop because Connecticut did the better job in game one, and certainly they did turn around in game two. Minnesota was more to form, 42%, Connecticut down to 25%. And I think we also agreed that, Cheryl Reeve and company would have a little bit of a game plan, a blueprint for Marina Mabry. And Marina Mabry didn't shoot all that well in game two, 4 of 14, 2 of 8 from the perimeter. So looks like Minnesota has their defensive game plan down. Now it's a question of coming into the hostile arena. The environment's going to be tough here, no doubt about it. Not that Minnesota will be intimidated. It's just tough. And Ty Harris is back, came back the other night. So the Connecticut rotation is stretched out a little bit for the good. So it should, these games are so close, Skee. We talked about it the other day. Every single game decided by 5 points or less up until the other night when it was decided by 7. And laying 4.5, I was still feeling a little bit uncomfortable at the end because Minnesota wasn't necessarily trying to conservatively take care of their lead. They were trying to get up and down the floor quite a bit. Some turnovers and whatnot. Is like, slow it down out there. I think that, for me, this game was a no play. I'll start it with that. It was a no play. It's hard for me to get to a total that's that low, especially when these two teams, and just this is always a slight part of the handicap, Skee, and especially in games like we have here in these semifinals, overtime is always a possibility. I'm always afraid of that. 69-69 overtime, blow your underplay. So I can't get there. I wanted to get there with Connecticut because I think it's probably the right side. I also need a game 5 out of this series because I had Minnesota at plus price to win the series heading into game 2, and then I'm looking forward to get to game 5 so I can get Connecticut at plus price. But I do think Connecticut could be the right side here in a close game. We will see. I agree with you, though, that when Nafisha Collier's going 3 of 14 again in game 2, that's going to turn around at some point. And she's a UConn girl. So coming back to Connecticut, a lot of the home fans there she'll have people there for her. So I'm going to leave it alone because I just can't come to a firm conclusion. But I think I'll just watch this and maybe react in game 4 and look for a season or a series evening game in game 4. Whoever goes up 2-1, I'll probably play the other side in game 4.
And I'm kind of feeling a little bit of the same. I don't know how much of I want to jump in on the side for this game. Sun do play a lot better at home in general. It's tough, very, very tough on the side. Shout out my boy Chris. Says, "What up, Skee? Finally catching you and Rob live. Best of luck tonight. Appreciate you tapping in, Chris, and make sure y'all check him out. He does really great work as well. WNBA, he's up early, man, before I could even think about going live. Before sometimes I might not even go to sleep yet. So he's putting in some work, and I got to give him credit because he's doing what I can't do. I'm not getting up at 5 a.m. to do a show. So shout out to Chris doing that good work. And he says he stayed off this one too. He wants to take Minnesota minus 110 to win the series. Well, I'll tell you, Chris, I took Minnesota plus 140, and I think Rob got plus 160, but we both think they win the series. So take that, for what it's worth. And he says, problem I had is Fee played so bad in game 2, and they still won by 7. Yeah, she's only going to play better. That's kind of how I'm thinking. Rob, I can't help but think, we got to talk it out just a little bit more. I'm looking at the box scores. That first game, Connecticut shot 41% from 3, which is uncharacteristic, but let's just say they shot 41% from 3. Minnesota shot 25%. They shot 16 combined free throws. That game ended 143. Then you look at game 2. You have Minnesota being a team that shot 42% from 3. Now Connecticut is 25% from 3. The team shot a combined 34 free throws. So from 16 to 34. And we still get a total of only 4 points more, 147. I think that Connecticut's defense is going to show up in this game, especially at home. I think that the Lynx will shoot a little worse, like the surrounding players not being at home. And I mean, I think that 40% for the Sun in that first game was a fluke. So if you tell me they get 4 free throws and the game still didn't even hit 150, I really want to get there with that under. Is there any last thoughts why you can talk me off, or maybe you do like it?
Yeah, well, you can't get to over, right? Again, much like the game results, Skee, where side is concerned, the totals have been so consistent.
Mhm.
Even regular season, they're consistently in this area between 145, 155. They're right in there every time. And to your point, forget about the percentages from three, but in game one, they made 14 threes combined. Second game, it flip-flopped percentage-wise, but they made 13 threes combined. So it's kind of the same number. And to your point about the Sun, they shot 3 free throws in the first game, 2 of 3 from the foul line, and then the refs gave them a few whistles in game 2. Unless it gets into an end of game situation where it's desperation foul, go make a hoop, desperation foul, go make a hoop. I think that defenses, and we've talked about this a lot. We talk about it in the NBA a lot. As series go on, the defenses start to know the plays a lot better. They start to get back on defense a lot better. There's not a lot of transition hoops. So, if I were going to play total, I could only play it the way you're looking at it, which would be under. The only things, like I say, I'd fear 2 things. One, I'd fear potential overtime. 2, I'd fear that at home, Mabry does get hot, even if they have a game plan for her. She's the scary wild card in this.
Yeah, she definitely is. I love Marina Mabry, but DeWanna Bonner, she has not looked good. She looked like she don't even have any legs, really, honestly. So we'll see. I'll think about that game a little bit more. Maybe I'll get there sometime today. But I am looking towards an under. Next game we have 641, 642. Liberty and Aces opened up Aces -2. They're now a 3-point favorite. Total open 165.5. Anywhere between 163.5 and 166. So once again, make sure you line. That's 2.5 points right there, just by line shopping. So make sure you guys get the best of the number, whichever side, whichever direction you are, planning to go. I'll ask you this, Rob, or I'll say this first. The Liberty have looked like the best team in the WNBA all season long. And it makes sense. We knew this was going to happen, or we figured this would happen after the way that they lost last season and all the talent that they have on this team. So they've came out, they've been hungry all year. They come out versus the Aces, take care of business at home, still hungry. Aces, the years when they won, they've been consistent, like steamroller. This year, it's been a lot of rocky up and down. You hear Becky Hammond talking about, making excuses, or, whatever you want to view it, making excuses, calling it how it is. She says that it's tough to keep that same drive and same hunger for a team who just won 2 in a row, and now everybody's on commercials and celebrities and blah, blah, blah. That's what she's saying. Now, that doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence to back the Aces. But what I will say is, I think that they're very prideful. I think that they're not going to want to go out without a fight, without swinging. So my first thought in this game is Aces early. Aces first quarter. Come out, throw that first punch. Whether or not they can sustain it and hold on for the entire game, I don't know. But I do trust Asia to be aggressive. I mean, you're going to go out with your MVP, right? She was like not even touching the ball in the first half, or not even shooting the ball, I'll say. So I think Asia points could really be a look in this game. Ace's first quarter is appealing to me. Do you like any of those looks, or would you maybe prefer to look at the full game?
I played the full game. Not that I dislike those looks, but I played the full game. I played the Aces, laid the 3. Now I'll say this. I didn't stand completely straight up on this one, Skee. I mean, I played it, but I have a little bit of I've got a medium-sized play here. And I know what we won't see tonight, Skee. After listening to Becky Hammond, we won't see layups. Man, she was on a tangent about layups, right?
She was going off on the bench, too, during the game. She was letting them have it. Kelsey Plum specifically, too.
for a coach who looks like she's ready to drop the gloves when things are going good, I don't want to be that team after that. Because she was adamant that the layups are what's killing this team right now, her team. And I'm with you. The amount of pride that's on that team, if you just go down the roster, Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young, Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum, in front of your home crowd tonight. If you don't show up tonight, then you deserve to exit the playoffs. So I fully believe that they'll show up here, and I think they'll show up well. Those quotes that you read from Becky Hammond, it does sound like a coach that's just making her exit from the playoff speech.
Yeah, it sounded like an exit interview.
So let's save that for Game 4, Becky. But I do think they showed a lot of character coming back in that game. Right? They kept coming back, little resiliency, and we've seen a few post-game conferences this year, especially where Asia Wilson's concerned, where she has shown determination to right the ship. I think it gets righted tonight. I trust their free throw making down the stretch here enough to lay the three. If the game gets close and the Liberty get in a situation where they're behind and they have to foul, I think that the Aces have enough free throw shooters here to get the job done. Hopefully Kelsey Plum doesn't miss one and laugh like we've talked about before. But I think they're the right side, Skee. They've got to extend this series here tonight. And I do believe that you probably get their max effort, their max focus. Certainly, if you listen to the coach, you would think that way. So I played the Aces, and like I said, I laid the 3.
Not mad at that play at all. Heart of a champion. We'll see tonight, right? So, Veno liking the Aces. I think I need a little bit more time to actually get to the window, but I'm likely to be to the window with at least one of these WNBA games today. And you guys know what sides I'm looking at. So that will be the W. Now we got to move it on over to college. And saw somebody in the chat say it. Got that Syracuse orange on. Opened up UNLV -3. They're now 5.5 or 6-point favorites. I want to say I still see 6.5. So I did see 6.5. Maybe you got some pushback at that 6.5. I'm pretty sure we did get some pushback at the 6.5. So I was on UNLV last week. All the noise about Sluka, the quarterback, and everybody running to the window to bet against them. Those guys, Sluka wasn't much of a passer anyway. He was more of a runner. The guys are probably way excited to get somebody who's actually going to get them the ball. So they played like they were pumped up. They never stopped scoring in that game, no matter how many points they were up. I can't help but think, is that a one-off thing? Like, yeah, okay, you came out, played that emotional game. You showed everybody you can still do this. Is that just going to continue? Or do they is it like a flat spot after that big game here against Syracuse? How are you viewing it, Rob?
Well, I would think that if it was a Saturday night game with no television exposure or limited television exposure, maybe I could get into the flat spot for UNLV. But Barry Odom's got this team on the rise, and it's a Friday night game where you don't have a lot of options of what to watch. So a lot of eyeballs are going to be on UNLV. I think the only drawback to that is that at the same exact time tonight, Oregon plays Michigan State on another channel. You'll have 2 other early games still overlapping. So there'll be one of a few, but still, second half, certainly a lot of single televisions on this Syracuse UNLV game. I think they're highly motivated to have this type of game at home against Syracuse. It's a cross-country trip that Syracuse certainly is not used to. That's for sure. And Syracuse is playing
first road trip, I think.
Yeah, every single game at home in the Carrier Dome this year. And the Carrier Dome is a huge boost as far as energy for the team is concerned. So now they get put into Allegiant Stadium, where that's going to be a huge boost for UNLV. Generally not a team that gets big crowds, but I think there's a buzz in Las Vegas around this squad for sure. So we'll see how they show up tonight. It's an interesting contrast, though, Skee. Syracuse throws the football all over the lot. Kyle McCord, quarterback for Syracuse, of course, came from Ohio State. It's the number 3 passing team in the country, 372.5 yards per game. So they throw it. They can't run it a lick, but they throw it. Where UNLV is concerned, they're the 6th best rushing team in the NCAA FBS football. And with Malik Williams, they still have that run threat, as you mentioned, but they have a little bit more of a pass threat now. So a little more dual balance here that Syracuse hasn't really seen. This team's averaging about 6 a carry. So Syracuse probably has to focus there, whether or not they can stop a offense that in the rushing attack incorporates quarterback run. Of course, that entails so much more on the defensive end. We'll see. UNLV, the play calling, I went through these play calling numbers, and you talked about Sluka being run only. But UNLV's play calling this year, 74.6, almost 75% of the play calls have been runs and only 25 to the pass. Could change a little bit now. Syracuse not quite as lopsided, even though they throw it so much more, or they throw it so much better. But the yardage is certainly lopsided in favor of the pass for Syracuse. I guess the bottom line, the question here is, Skee, what do you trust more? Do you trust Syracuse to stop UNLV's run, or do you trust UNLV to stop Syracuse's pass? So I got some numbers for you here. UNLV's been pretty solid pass defense, only allowing about 57% completions, which is good in NCAA football. The quarterback rating against them is really good. It's 17th best in the nation. So they're not allowing quarterbacks to go off against them. They've got 9 picks, which is second in the country. And they have 13 sacks, which is 20th in the country. So if you can pressure, you can intercept, you can stop completions, those are pretty good. Teams have tried to throw it on them. And really, they give up about 226 a game. I think that's okay. The problem for them is that 3 of their 4 opponents have been no good. Kansas doesn't throw the ball. Houston can't throw the ball. They haven't even scored in 2 weeks. And Utah Tech. So they're going to be tested here. But I probably trust that much better than what Syracuse has as far as a run defense is concerned. Because when I looked at them, they gave up 262 rushing yards to Ohio U. Not so great. They gave up 173 to Stanford. Not so great. And Georgia Tech averaged almost 5 a carry in a game where they were coming from behind in the second half, throwing more than running. But we know Georgia Tech can run. So the one thing in common with those 3 teams, much like UNLV, is they all have a running quarterback, and Syracuse hasn't stopped any team with a running quarterback so far. So I don't know why that would change here tonight. I think that UNLV has certainly an advantage where their defense is probably a little bit better equipped to stop what Syracuse does best than Syracuse is to stop what UNLV does best. Each side is way more than capable of scoring points, which surprises me that the totals come down, to tell you the truth. I don't really understand that move as far as the money's concerned, but I do understand the folks who've gotten behind UNLV and pushed this thing from 3. As I look now, we see circa 5.5, mostly 6s out there, but the move from 3 to 6, I could understand. If I had to play, I think I would play UNLV in this game and lay the 6, because I just think that their defense, in all likelihood, is better equipped to stop Syracuse than Syracuse is to stop them.
Fair enough. I think, I'm gonna be honest, I think this is one that I have to stay away from. I wanted to just bet Syracuse. I wanted to fade UNLV, but I just don't think I feel as comfortable doing that as I would like to. Joshua thinks UNLV is due for a letdown game. We shall see. Let's move it on over. We got NFL and interesting game choice. I'll say that. Raiders and Broncos. This game opened up Broncos -1.5. They're taking money all the way up to -3. And the total going the opposite way from 38 down. There's even a 35.5 popping up, but there are 36s as a consensus. I'm pretty certain, Rob, this is a game that I'm going to stay far, far, far away from. I don't even think I thought about this game yet, but you have some thoughts. How do you view this one?
I do. Sometimes you have to find money in the garbage can, Skee, and that's where I'm going. I'm going after the money here in this game, and it's not a traditional play. And I'll say this off the top. I mean, obviously, we're sports bettors, handicappers. We both have an individual favorite team. I mean, I've been a Broncos fan since I was less than 10 years old. And to watch Sean Payton's offense 21 games into his tenure is no different, really, than watching Nathaniel Hackett's offense, the guy he criticized on the way out. So I'm not going to prop Denver up offensively as if there's some kind of juggernaut. Some of their problems due to the fact that they have Bo Nix at quarterback. Some of the problem, though, I think, Skee, when I dug deep, the defenses that they faced. And here's what I'm going to say about this game. Denver has played Pittsburgh and the Jets. Two of what some would argue, two of maybe the 6 best defenses in the NFL, maybe 2 of 8. But whatever it is, they're top tier, both of those. They did nothing against the Steelers, 295 yards, only 64 on the ground. Pittsburgh is a team with TJ Watt that pressures your quarterback. 2 sacks, 7 quarterback hits. Bo Nix throws 2 picks. The Jets, a game last week, played at the Jets' home field in rainy conditions. Jets also a team that pressures the quarterback. Denver gets 186 total yards, only 60 through the air, 5 sacks, and 8 quarterback hits. Bo Nix, like any other quarterback, when they're pressured, they're rattled. And when you're a rookie, you're especially rattled. Against Seattle in game 1, when Seattle's defensive line was fully healthy, now they're all, last game they were all out, all 4 of them, but they were fully healthy in the season opener. And it was Bo Nix's first road game. First NFL start, first road game up in Seattle. That's not a place you want to go to with that 12 flag being hung and those crazies up in Seattle. They sacked him twice. They hit him 6 times. They forced 2 picks. The only game, the comp game I'll use here is Tampa, which is most like the Raiders defense. Against Tampa, Bo Nix, 26 points the Broncos scored with him at the helm, 352 total yards. He didn't get sacked once, and he only got hit twice. And Denver scored 26, which brings me to the Raiders without Max Crosby. Without Max Crosby, there's really not a lot of pressure. And again, I'm going to just interject my opinion here. But watching them play Cleveland last week, you might come away with the thought that, wow, the Raiders played inspired defense. They're pretty good on defense, even without Crosby. The Browns, for what it's worth, look like a team that doesn't even care if they're on the field or not, to tell you the truth. There's a couple of clips of Amari Cooper just basically choosing not to block for running backs. And, there's something going on there in Cleveland. So I'm not going to take that Cleveland defensive performance with any more than just a grain of salt. I think the Broncos always play hard. I think they've got a defense that's comparable to Tampa Bay's here. No pressure. Nick should be fine. And so here's where the play comes in, Skee. We bet against numbers. Their team total is 18.5. Got to get to 19 to win this game. It could be as ugly as heck, and you could win 19-13, 19-16, but it cashes your ticket. For what it's worth, the Broncos have scored over 19 or more twice in 4 games, and the Raiders have given it up 3 out of 4 games. Give up 38 to Andy Dalton and the Panthers. So for me, I thought this number was too low. I think Denver at home can find their way to 20. Just a little extra incentive in this game. The Raiders have beaten them 8 times in a row, 10 out of 11. So I think the Broncos will be fired up here, and asking them to get to 19, 4 field goals and a touchdown, I don't think is too much. So I took the Broncos team total over 18.5.
Interesting play right there. And I don't think the Raiders defense is that great, so I'm not mad at that play. We did good. We got through a little bit in every sport. I think it is about that time. Got some interesting comments in the chat. Eddie Cash. I don't know, man. I think that's says a Seattle girl got mad at me because I didn't call her a week after I got her number. I think most girls are like that, honestly. They want you to show that you want them. And if you don't call them for a week, they're like, oh, forget this guy. What do you even ask for my number for? So maybe just learn from that lesson, Eddie Cash, for the future. All right, let's move over to best bets. Before we do that, a little bit of promo time. So let me see if I can get this up here, Rob, because actually, yeah, let me see. I'm just playing with this stuff here, but okay, you can see this, correct, Rob?
Yes, I can.
So I wanted to show my guy Rob Veno right here. Last 7 days, he is 16-8, up $3,135. Number one at Wagertalk the last 7 days. And I know they do have this special right here is what I wanted to go for. 7 days of winning for just $77, $11 a day. And you see he's been cashing out. So Veno, other than that, is there anything else you would like to promote and maybe a play that you like as a best bet for the show?
Yeah, I would just say real quick here, Skee, that college football has been really and the NFL was great too this weekend, but football has been the gravy train toward the toward the profits the last 10 days or so. College football 9-2, last 11, so we're seeing that pretty clearly. Best bet, I'm going to go back to WNBA. I have to play the Aces here. I have to believe the Aces can win this game by 4 points. Just defending two-time champion, and the wrath of Becky Hammond is just not something that I just want to go to practice and face. So I think they come out motivated here and get a home win. Friday night home crowd. You know, when we talk NBA a lot, I like Friday night home teams. I think this Friday night home team is in a good spot. So I'm going to lay 3 with the Aces.
All right, good stuff from Veno. We have a lady in the chat here, Veno. She disagrees. She says, Eddie, don't take his advice. 2 weeks is too long. A week is okay, but 2 is a no. I don't know. I maybe listen to the lady. All right, maybe it wasn't your fault, Eddie. But B Daddy, I'm with B Daddy. He says you got to move fast, bro. Not too fast, but you can't be slow motion with it.
We're gonna expand this show to other subjects.
We gotta have some fun too around here. For myself, you know, I'll piggyback off of that. I should have probably left it up, but I'll put it back up here. The 7 days, I mean, I've been doing pretty solid too. I know college football, I'm currently 18-8. WNBA playoffs, I'm 6-1. MLB playoffs, I'm 5-2. So if you would like to do the 7 days for $77, I can understand. That's a great deal. This is also really good. The numbers here haven't been updated. I am 6-1 to start the WNBA playoffs, but I'm now 5-2 to start MLB playoffs. And if you go back even further, that's what 53-32. Dating back to, I think it's the beginning of the playoffs in 2022. So this year, including the 2 previous playoffs, is what that record is. So if you buy MLB playoffs, you get WNBA free for me, and that will be my promo. As far as a best bet, you guys know how I am. I don't like to give bets I haven't made. Yesterday, I did give a bet, and it was a loser on the show. I did also share my entire card with the YouTube members, and we had more wins and losses. Like I said, it was a really good day. So today, haven't placed anything yet. You guys know if I'm betting the WNBA, which I'm likely going to get there, under in the Sun game or the Aces early. Maybe Veno can even talk me into the Aces full game, but I just need a little bit more time to think about it. So I'll pass for now. I am, however, going to be live again right after this with my guy 5-Star. We'll talk out some college football, a little bit of NFL, and we'll see if I'm very likely to give a best bet on that show. So, Rob, I appreciate you. My guy Noli knows in the building says, one-stop shop. You get bets and dating advice.
That's right. And even more sometimes.
So, yeah, even more sometimes. Rob, I appreciate you taking the time to come break these games down with me and share the info with everybody. You do really good work, and I always want to let you know I appreciate it. Chat, you guys are awesome. Like I said, we have a good time. We got a lot of good bettors in here. We share information and we help each other. And that's what it's all about, us first to book. So appreciate you guys as well. Make sure to hop over. Like I said, I'm going live right after this with 5-Star in Vegas. And I'll catch y'all over there. So till then, peace.